Hi, I'm Donna and this is Charlotte. We're from Pimms Needles. Thank you for joining us. This podcast is brought to you with Point North. They're supporting our project, which is called Bloom in Life.
And it's through a fund called Enriching Later Lives. And it's all about providing information for women in midlife to help navigate really difficult situations and kind of facilitate positive change.
Thanks for joining us. I'm really excited to be joined today by Gillian Arnold.
Welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Well, I'm delighted to be here. I have to say, I think it's brilliant what you're doing with your podcasting, and I've watched a few of them and they're really good conversations. So I'm so glad to be part of the conversation.
Thank you. And you've taken time away from the hottest day of the year to come here.
I know, there's a bit of air conditioning going on, so I'm really happy about that. It's really good.
So tell us a little bit then, just for anybody that's listening, what do you do? And who are you? And tell us a little bit about your business.
All right. You want the short story? I'll try and keep it concise. So my brand name is Gillian Arnold, and I set up my business when I was 3 months off 40. I think,
Right.
like that. Yeah. And so it's, I set up a botanical design business in London from a market stall, Greenwich Market, basically. And then I married somebody from the Northeast, and we eventually moved up here when I was pregnant with my son, my second child. And we haven't really looked back. You know, the Northeast has totally become home to me. I didn't expect it to. It was a bit of a rocky road at first. It was like, I really miss London. And
I can imagine.
yeah, so, but it's been really fantastic for our business as well to move up here and carry on the business and end up with some bricks and mortars stores as well. So we did have a shop here in Darlington for 5 years, and we've got a shop in Bishop as well. Mm-hmm. So that's where we live. We don't have the shop in Darlington now. Mm-hmm. So, but the business is still is based in Bishop in our shop there, and we make everything from there. So we're like little elves.
Love it.
In the background with the machinery. And then we send out our products wholesale to stockists around the world, actually.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So I mean,
what's an outdoor stuff,
I know. It's
yes.
fabulous. And when you said you started that when you were 40, mm-hmm. What did you have a creative career before that, or did you do something completely different?
Well, yes, I've always. So then I'll backtrack slightly. So at 16, I went and did a course at FE College, like an art course for 2 years. And I thought, I don't know whether I could do art because it's actually a wee bit boring. That was my perception of art at 16. And I did this course and it was amazing. We did life drawing, we did textiles, like free machine embroidery, because I know you're into that side of things. And just, ceramics and the whole shebang. And I just was completely hooked. I just thought, I don't want to do anything other than be an artist. Mm-hmm. So then I went and did my degree. And so I've always worked in the creative industry. So I worked in window display in London, like making throwaway art out of polystyrene and putting it in the likes of Dickinson Jones on Regent Street. Wow. And, I did that for a number of years. Mm-hmm. And then I did my master's at Chelsea College of Art. I moved into working in the community, doing art projects with disadvantaged people, even with the homeless, and then working a lot in schools as a resident artist, in primary schools, like inner city London schools, where it was really, the kids were pretty wild, but it was amazing. It was incredible. So I sort of moved more into that arena. So that was my arts career really before I set up the design business. So what happened, that turned things for me to do the design business is that I always had this sense of I really want to do my own art, and I just I just felt that I didn't have enough confidence to do it. I kept making excuses, and it's that old sort of saying of like that you're your own worst enemy. I just didn't feel that it had what it took, even though I was really ambitious and I had like lots of drive and, you know, but I finally, you know, my husband said to me, like when we were like going for a date at the South Bank, he could see the frustration, you know, that I was 6 months pregnant at the time, though, when I was ready just to go on maternity leave from my, you know, doing art in schools.
Yeah.
And he said to me, you know, like, I married an artist, like, why don't you start doing your own work? And I was like, rabbit in the headlights time, burst into tears, and then just said, okay. I was 6 months pregnant. I mean, I don't know what I was thinking,
Wow.
but I think so. But a lot of women, that happens. It's almost like the pregnancy, almost like your hormones are doing something where you just finally go, oh, what the heck? I'm just going to do what I want to do. I'm finally going to do
change
it.
anyway. You don't know what the future holds, so you might as well change something.
Everything's up for grabs.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I'm moving into a whole new arena. So I literally, the next day, I mean, I didn't realise at the time, but my husband was like, had really complementary skills in business. So I didn't know that because we'd met on a dating site, you know, a few years earlier. So we didn't really even know each other that well. So I just, he put a shed in the garden for me, you know, in our ground floor flat, you know, in London. And I just started taking wildflowers and printing with them with my heat press in the shed. And he was working actually on Michael Jackson's Thriller musical, doing the sound. And he would come home late at night at about 11 and he'd say, you know, right, you need to get up off the floor now. Because I was this heavily pregnant woman, just like knocking out all this art through the day and totally loving every second. And he just, you know, so he would like hoist me off the floor, you know, says you need to go to bed now. And okay. And so it would continue until literally the day before I gave birth.
Wow.
I literally just did 3 months of constant art. And then I'd take it to Greenwich Market at the weekends and we'd just see what people wanted to buy.
So did you, because you've got such a distinct style, I think that if you're ever in somebody's house, you're like, it's actually not, you can see your style really jumps.
Yeah.
Is it always been like that? Or is that, did you sort of test the waters and think, I'm going to do loads of different things? Or is it always been your vision for what you do now to a degree?
Well, I've always really been seriously into botanicals and, you know, I've taken so many photos of plants through the years. And my mum was a gardener and she used to talk to her plants. She'd be going, come and see this begonia, Jim. Isn't it just the most amazing plant ever? And she'd literally be like completely
Super
into
passionate.
it. Like, and I'd be going, really? But I just kill plants, I squash them and I press them, and then that's how I do my flower arranging and loving of them. So I think that mixed with the printing processes that I had started working with in my art degree. So I'd worked with these printing processes of heat transfer printing and using dispersed dyes back then and was really hooked on it then. So so when I did the work in schools, it was all heat transfer printing and the kids would be selling cushions, mugs, you know, jewellery, you name it. I was getting them to sell the work that they were making, you know, because I was quite into product as well and the inventiveness of that, you know, coming up with something that was, you know, that they could sell. So it was all there. It was just that I hadn't actually brought it into my own practice. And so I felt that when I started the design business, I really could hit the ground running because I'd already done loads of composition work with the kids.
Yeah.
I'd thought through my colours, you know, everything was
I love your colours, and I think that's what makes it so distinctively your design, because it is something that's like the botanics so natural, isn't it, in that colour palette, but you just bring this lovely zingy approach to it, and it's gorgeous. And where is there any inspiration for the colour palette that you use, or is it just something that you love?
I think there's loads of artists that say that, I'm just a colorist, and I just really am a colorist, and I like clashy colors as well, like really pushing the boundaries, or like, how many colors can I get into this composition without it really falling apart and not working? It's like, that's more, that's always like, for me, more is more. It's not less is more for me, ever. And in the 90s, it really was, less is more, Gillian, less is more. And that's what they always the art teachers or the art tutors used to say to me that in art college. I'd be like,
oh no,
I have no idea about that concept.
I would be up for the more is more, definitely. And the pattern on pattern.
So, but I think it's also, I remember seeing the Avatar film and loving the sheer saturation, the sort of fluorescent tones of that film. And one of the biggest compliments to me was when I started doing the Greenwich Market and all of that, people would say, oh, it's quite Avatar, isn't it? Like the colours, because they were really, really sort of popping out. Yeah. And so that was like, oh, brilliant, because that's what I love as well. So I think that does come across, and also it's the story behind it as well. Like I wore this top, but like there's plants on that. I'm trying to see where they are. That one. That came out of my the wall in my backyard.
Oh, love it.
So it's like there's actually, you can sort of like take the plants from a context, and it becomes part of what inspires that composition or what colour I decide to make that piece. So there's a narrative it's really like sort of that it sits in as well. So
And in those early days when you had your market stall and you were selling your items, was there a lot that you tweaked after that from people's response, or did you find like the colour palette is great, people responded really well? Was it then a little bit of just working out what product was selling best? Yeah, there was. That's really good that you're pointing that out, because, I did learn, it's like the two went hand in hand. I had to do the strong colours that I wanted, but I also was aware that, of what people liked. So there was a little bit of a blend of both going on. And how I used to actually do the work initially was I would print with the plants straight onto like the mugs and the coasters, and so I didn't have to reproduce them. They were all one-off pieces. So that gave me lots of time to explore the designs, that worked, or the plants that worked the best. Yeah. And then, I could see what people really loved, like and it looked very bright on the stall, because it had there was loads of glass coasters, and they looked quite like gems with a really, really striking, strong colours. The thing is that's another interesting thing, in that wasn't sustainable, because you can't do one-offs. No. If you're going to build a business, you have to, when I started doing trade shows, I realised this isn't working. I have to reproduce the designs and come up with. So it's like a body of work, but because I had that research from my customers, it was actually really fantastic for me, because then I could just do what I knew they really liked. I think it's that sort of period is really interesting, that period of time, for anybody that's listening that is creative, that's thinking maybe I want to set up my own business. And I think there's loads of people that have created their own art, but it's getting it from A to B to something that's commercial, isn't it? And monetizing it is a huge learning curve. And I'm sure it didn't happen even in 1 year or 2 years. I'm sure it happened.
It never stops. It's literally constant.
Yeah.
And it's like I feel sometimes that I've done several, like a PhD in business several times over, because you literally have to think on your feet all the time. And that, yeah, because I was thinking about that when you were asking me about coming to this podcast. It's like, you know, that is a whole creative process in itself, and it's also very energizing, but it's very different from obviously my own practice of going into the studio. It's like you have to have that bigger vision and then sort of work backwards to sort of see how to implement it. And then and it sort of I really notice it when I'm planning like workshops, because it's really fantastic to start to do art workshops again. I'm thinking like about 3 or 4 stages ahead. Like, how can I sort of make, like, really scale this up? It's not just the planning of the workshop. It's like, can there be like kits that I do of this workshop? Because I've got
the business
those processes in place in my head, and so it drives me bonkers because I was literally I woke up at 6 yesterday morning thinking, oh well, if we do this workshop, I can do a little sideline of getting them to do something collaborative, you know, and then that will really have impact, and you know, and then I'm just asking myself lots of questions all the time and working it out.
Hard to turn it off, I think, when you're creative, isn't it? And I think if you are an ideas person and those ideas come easily, sometimes it's kind of like, oh, I could do a million different things. How do I just keep a bit of direction going and funnel it in a little bit?
I see. You're really good at these questions, aren't you? It's like you've been there. You've done it and you've got the t-shirt. Yeah, I totally, I totally get that. It's and this is like, I have always been an ideas person, and the problem is with having ideas, and this is what I think quite a lot of people who are creative will really identify with, is that you can have these ideas and then you don't know, you don't have the confidence, or you don't have the sort of capacity to like bring it through the different stages without maybe getting emotionally involved and then giving up. And the only thing I can say on that is that it's been sheer practice to sort of set aside the emotions, like, and just keep being quite pragmatic and work through the steps. And my husband's really good at this, because he's the one who, I would have the ideas and the vision, and he's the one who will implement it. And he's the operational side, and built up like a little factory that actually meant that we could, so it's back to the complementary skills. It's like, he was like, and I would be saying, you know, so what do we need to do? He says, oh, we just need to get a bigger printer, and we need to get a bigger this, and you talk like this, and, you know, and then we need to get this system in place. And I was like, okay. Whereas if I didn't have him talking like that, I would probably possibly still just be on a market stall, you know, and just working in that capacity, because I just don't have that technical sort of problem solving head.
It's more of a black and white kind of viewpoint, isn't it? Which I think, two of them things, you obviously need both them things for your business to be
really
as successful as it is, because without the
exactly.
ideas and the design, it's going nowhere. There's not a product, is there? But I guess what he's bringing then is that real, like, okay, well, I can see it from this point. We just need that
exactly. And
move on.
You know, he's very much a sort of, you know, sometimes, like, there's been several times I've literally been going, is this going to work, Tim? I'm like, is this going to happen? You know, are we going down the right?
Because I think as an artist, you have those doubts, don't you?
Yeah, totally. And so, you know, is it working? Will it work? And he, well, of course it'll work. And he's basically, because he's because X plus Y equals Z.
Yeah.
And I'm like going, I can't see it.
Yeah.
because I'm just like too, you know, because I'd get and also, and because it's like all your emotions are tied up with your sort of vision and your dreams and what you want to actually like sort of, you know, deliver and bring to the public. So whereas he just doesn't have that sort of
Well, I think your emotions are in there, aren't they? You put your heart and soul into everything that you do. And if somebody's like, oh, I don't like that, you'd be like, what do you mean you don't like that? It took me over an hour to think about that little leaf going in that direction. And I think you take things so personally. And we have a lot of people that we work with that are artists, and I think that there is that struggle of commercialising it and sort of being open to that criticism and feedback, where you've done amazing just to put it out there and to be like, right, I'm here and I'm happy with it.
Yes, absolutely. And it was never like it was something else I was thinking about. That's not been something like an easy task. Like I had quite low confidence in my, creative abilities. Like I was always very, very passionate and really just couldn't stop being creative. But I definitely had some, I was very lacking in confidence. And even my art tutor was like, saying to me, I was walking on my artwork, and he was like, why are you walking on it? Do you not value your work? When I was at art college. So it was like, so I've had a bit of a long journey on sort of, and one of the other things that, and I sort of got quite a lot of criticism at art college because I think I was quite a bit wild even as an art student. And and it sort of goes with the territory, but I think I was a little bit even more eccentric than your average. And like I was saying in a workshop a few weeks ago that the print tutor, I started off doing fashion at art college, and I thought, I'm never going to be a fashion designer. So I tried to get into print, and he wouldn't let me in print. So I ended up doing knitting and weaving. And I'm not a knitter or a weaver. And I've always just really been a printer. So, but he wouldn't let me in, and he wouldn't let me on the course. And he even said, I don't want you in the print studio because you're wasting the materials.
Oh my God.
I know. And he totally and utterly was like, and you can really, then it's always back to like when you have those things thrown against you, you really have the choice to, am I going to take this on, or am I going to just say, no, you're wrong about that.
Yeah.
I am totally, so I've always been a printer. That's definitely my main discipline is printing, printing with the plants, and all of that is totally what's come through all my creative processes. So
Wow.
it's like you have to decide, don't you? And you sort of, and it's that sort of self-belief, and so in a way it's almost like it's learning to embrace the criticism because it actually gives you that, you turn it around, and it makes you have more of a resolve. Like last week somebody had said, oh, your work isn't like the standard I expected it should be. It looks like it's from Temu, and I did a post about it in on Facebook. But it was fantastic because I just like, it just made me like think, okay, why am I doing this? Why am I like running this brand? Why am I doing my own art? And as long as people are going to appreciate what I'm doing, and that they will, the price reflects the fact that it's made in Britain, and we, I'm doing all this art from scratch, then, I'm going to keep doing it. And so I just had so many people responding and saying, what? I love your work, and sending photos of like the lamps and the cushions, and says, what are they talking about? They have no idea, they're just, I don't know why they've said that. And so that was, I didn't expect to get that response. But that is what happened. And, and I didn't even really want to do that post. It was Tim that was sort of saying, my husband, like, I think we should do
I think you need to address it, really. I mean, I've seen a few where independent brands that they're getting the designs ripped off. So they're sort of they're looking at them, making something similar, and then pushing it out. And then people are seeing them and thinking, well, why am I paying this for this when I can get it from there for this? But they don't realise it's the quality, it's the ideas, it's, you're supporting British and all that kind of thing. But I think that it's a shame that they're doing that they're stealing all these really good ideas and sort of.
We've just been having our last podcast was with Ruth about eco sort of living more sustainably and that kind of thing. So we've just been discussing at length about this sort of fast fashion kind
Oh,
of
yeah,
culture that
yeah.
we live in, buying from Temu, buying from, and I think you are not that. You are what traditional skills, doing it from scratch, produced in
Yeah.
England, but it is sometimes difficult, isn't it, to get people to appreciate that
Yeah.
in the culture. You're sort of fighting against the culture that we're living in at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think you're obviously supporting a family, you're putting a roof over your head, you're employing people locally.
Yeah.
It's all that kind of thing, isn't it, where you need to support local business,
Oh,
otherwise.
definitely. Yeah. And there's lots of people that totally are buying into that,
Yeah.
and they know that's really, really important. And and that's, that's what has driven us forward as well, because we are not just doing this business out of this is our main income, and so it's like if we didn't sell the work, if people didn't want the work, then the kids don't get fed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really that. And we've had to sort of lay out, almost like fleeces at times. Like we did a trade show once, when I was pregnant with my son. And it's like we were down to our bare bones of the business, and this trade show was like, if we didn't get orders at this trade show, it's like we were saying, right, we're packing it in. So that was like over 10 years ago now, and and thankfully we got loads of orders, and that meant that we could keep going. But it's like when you're building a business, like it takes years and years, and it also and then you get the people who really see that they're almost with you in that story.
Yeah.
They're seeing it build, and they're inspired that you just keep going against all odds.
Yeah. I think it takes a lot of grit, determination and resilience to keep going with the business. And I often think people maybe on the outside don't appreciate just how much hard work it takes to keep it going and current and fluid and all of them things, and moving it forward. And it's a total credit to you. I think it's amazing, and you've achieved that in the Northeast, because I think in London that's probably more common, isn't it? I hate saying that, but
well, I'm really glad you pointed that out as well, because that is really true. I don't think I would have set up a design business, only that I was in London and it was part of the culture.
Yeah.
Like you come up here and people are like, oh, you're setting up a design business. It's like, they're not really, they don't have that perception to do it really. And I really love that to change, and I hope that what we do inspires people to sort of really go for it, because I think, if I could like turn the clock back, I would have set up my business in my 20s, rather than waiting until I was 40. I think that there has to, it's only when you're getting out there and making it happen that you start to see how it can progress, and I think that's what I would say to people who are thinking of like changing careers and wanting to maybe do something more creative. It's like it's just testing the waters. You have to be impatient with yourself and really grabbing hold of that self-belief. And for me, obviously, there's lots of motivating factors. I mean, I haven't really been that materialistic. I'm not really that I'd much rather develop my creative practice. That to me is like something of high value for me. I'm becoming, I want to always do art that is of absolute excellence and really, continue to master the processes that I've started working with. And because that is just the sense of well-being I get from that is like, you can't bottle it. You really can't. It's just, so that I suppose like, so for people who maybe have had, I was just thinking, like I was saying about that print shooter, what he said to me, you could have people that maybe have had those stories and like comments, and that they have decided not to do their art career because of that. And then they've been frustrated, maybe building up materialistically, but not actually doing what is
Fills
really
their cup.
in
Yeah.
their heart to do. And it sounds really cheesy, like, but we have to do what we love. Because that means we shine.
Yeah, without a
and
doubt.
everyone loves it.
Yeah.
And they're drawn to it.
And if
isn't
you
it?
don't do it, somehow you end up back doing it, don't you, when you're creative?
Or feeling unfulfilled.
Unfulfilled,
And I
yeah.
think the sad thing, I mean, you've obviously got a very supportive husband that's really lifted you up and filled in the little gaps of things, you know, when you need it. I do think we come across quite a few people that maybe don't have as much support around them, and it would be great to sort of, we do try and help where we can, don't we, of sort of helping people, because I think it does sometimes depend on who you're surrounded with. So sometimes you just need to surround yourself with like-minded people who have got that fire in the belly and that are going to turn somebody saying, oh, I don't like that, into, well, I'll show you what I can do.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need that around you, don't you?
Oh, big time. I mean, I'm talking about the creative side, you know, because this is what you wanted me to talk about, but we've had a lot of challenges over the last number of years. My husband has got chronic fatigue. He had the AstraZeneca vaccination and he collapsed after that, collapsed lung. And he was like, he hasn't fully recovered. And I also look after my mum who has Alzheimer's, who lives in the next street. Plus I've got 3 kids, you know, so it's sort of like there's a real, like I've had to really shift my priorities in the last, and my roles have changed. You know, I've become more like a carer role in lots of ways, and there's and I've needed like a support system. I've got like a group of women that I meet with on Zoom every week, and it's like that, you know, that's non-negotiable. I have to meet with them, because it's like I've been having to really build up, you know, my own inner resource of just really knowing that I can keep doing what I'm doing, not get resentful about all the different responsibilities that I carry. You know, it's like, and so it is that I think, so that's the sort of inner workings that are going on in me, you know, in order for me to just keep doing all the different responsible roles that I've got, and actually not get bogged down by them. Do you know what I mean? Because I think there's a whole lot of factors that can stop you from doing what you want, you know, in the creative side. Oh, I've got to make dinner again, and I've got to, you know, sort out the house or whatever. We have so many excuses, but it's like you have to, you know, it's like I'm also aware that I possibly didn't have the balance with my kids, that I wasn't around as much as I would have wanted to be when they were younger, when they were really little. We had au pairs so that I could get on with the business and do the design work. But I've really got more of a balance now, and it's really important. But I couldn't have got that balance, only that I've got like quite a strong supportive network of women that help me to, you know, that we share together, and that's really helpful. Like, it's really important. So
That's amazing.
It is. So just kind of going back to your base now in Bishop Auckland, is that where you have your mini factory or factory?
yes.
Where the magic happens.
Yes, where the magic happens.
Yeah.
I know. I don't really get more technical than this, but I've just got magic machines. I just say, this is the magic machine. So I put this. So we've got like this wide format printer there that's printing sublimation. Like I can just like print whatever, and it prints onto the paper. And then we've got this like rotary heat press, which is the same width as the printer. And so then you could put the paper and the roll of fabric through, and I just call it the magic machine.
Wow.
It comes out the other side as a printed piece of fabric that then gets made into a lampshade or a cushion, or, you know, and so it's just, and so that's the setup. And so my artwork will, like, I'll do my artwork like printing with the plants, you know, on paper, on fabric, on even plastic, and then I scan that in. We make them into the compositions that go on the different product types. So we just like sort of, we'll do the one art collection, and I'll do it maybe in a square, like a rectangle, a landscape, and then they go on the different product surfaces. So it'll even go down to a tiny piece on jewellery, and then it'll get really big into a lampshade, that same design. So that's part of like the sort of creative process as well, like of being able to put that one piece of art onto the different surfaces. So,
and do you have sort of designs that you did 10 years ago still where you can buy them, or do you constantly evolve the range and think, oh, I could tweak that a little bit, or do you look back and think, oh, that was really good, or how do you feel about the evolution of your art?
Yeah, that's so I because I never trained in textile design, you know, you're supposed to like sort of launch these collections and then shelf that collection and get another collection out. And I'm like sort of going, well, it's still selling, so I'm just gonna leave it there. So like my strongest selling design, like I did it 10 years ago, and basically it just still keeps selling. So it's like, well, this,
if it's not broken, don't change.
I know, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, but yes, I do. I've been looking through quite a lot of my, you know, art pieces from over the years, because I've put some work into an art exhibition. So it made me have a little look, and it was like revisiting old friends. Yeah. It's like, I remember this one. It's so lovely. So yeah, and you know, I am doing new work at the minute. I'm trying to like ring fence it in my week, along with you know all the other things. But yes, it's like it's a tricky one with doing like the new artwork, because it has to get put on the products, and it's all very well doing the art, but then you have to
and do you have someone else that kind of does that? Like, do you outsource that sort of stuff?
No, we do everything in-house. Yeah. So it's Tim that's the absolute wizard on that side of things, you know, my husband. So, you know, he'll put it onto the different surfaces, like size it for that, and then we print them off, and they all get made up into the different products. So,
and you've got a shop that is retail, and then you're selling wholesale as well.
Yes, yes. We've always had the wholesale arm to the business, which you know, at times hasn't been easy, because with the pandemic, you know, and the trade shows stopped, and then Tim was sick as well, so we mostly do our wholesale online, and it's a lot of like, we've had the same stockers, some of them for like 10 years, so they just keep reordering.
Oh, that's brilliant. That is total proof that it's still selling, and people want it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we sell on Fair, you know, as an online trade show basically, and that's been fantastic, because then we'll just get like, you know, someone will put in an order from the States or something, or there's a stockist in Paris that keeps ordering.
Wow.
And like we can't find them on social media, so we don't even know. Like, and it just keeps like sort of, oh, we've sold all those lampshades. Can you send us another batch of them? And they were like sort of, okay then. And we don't have any sort of contact with them other, because when you do trade shows, you basically have loads of conversations and, oh, can I have this? And can I have that? And you know, it takes quite a lot of time. You know, it's a lot of admin involved, you know, with trade shows. But when it's a fair order, you literally just you come in one day and you've got this really big order from somewhere in the States, and you're just going, okay.
what kind of time turnaround do you do?
It's usually 2 to 3 weeks.
Wow, so you've really got to get on that immediately, don't you?
Yeah, you do. So you have to, a lot of the time we have to make sure we've got all the raw materials in, you know, to be able to print it. And
you've
get it
got
out the
people
door.
working in your factory, helping you to produce those.
Yes, absolutely. So our sort of like main production woman is a woman called Sandra, and she's brilliant. She's like she worked in M&S for 17 years, like doing like, you know, mass production sort of, and so she knows how to churn out units really quickly, and she's always thinking about quality control. Like she's fantastic.
God, you need people like that, don't you? And do you ever do a design and you think, everyone's going to love this, and they don't, and then something that you think, I don't love that, but I'll put it out there, and then everybody is like ordering them by the hundreds. Do you ever have that kind of thing where it sort of surprises you a little bit?
Yeah, I love that you're asking that question. I really do. I totally, you know, went down a rabbit hole with all my underwater sort of work. I love underwater, and I think it's quite surreal, you know, when you sort of are like sort of mysterious creatures and sort of like the seaweed and everything that goes on, and I don't think people are as passionate about it as I am. And I put so much time into it, like unbelievable, you know, amount of prints that just make up one like composition. Like I would maybe do 100 of like different, this looks like a jellyfish. That's going to be brilliant in it. And, you know, and it just hasn't sold the same way as like, say, something like the one that sells is the best selling design. I wasn't happy with it. And Tim said, oh, well, let's take it to the trade show anyway. And everyone went bonkers over it. And I was just like,
That's the way that
it just totally didn't turn out the way I wanted it at all. You know, because in my head, it was like, that wasn't what I wanted. And yet everyone loved it. So, yeah, so that is, and you know.
That's a compromise sometimes, isn't it? Because again, I think with some artists, you speak to them and they've got such a vision of what they want people to want. They don't bend.
Yes. I totally get that. Yeah, I totally get that. And you sort of just, you know, and then I suppose as you get older as well, like I would probably have like, say, you know, my kids are like, oh, Mum, that's so middle-aged. Oh, thanks. I love you too. You know, like you sort of, they're just like, you know, you really, that's just not what, I just don't like that design. And then you sort of start to realise as well that, you know, I need to maybe think about what like the 20-somethings like, whatever, and they're sort of, you know, so I am starting to sort of dip my toe into that realisation with having
dancing
kids.
in the factory, aren't you? Doing some TikToks. Not that we've managed to get on board with that yet either, anyway.
Oh, gosh.
So, like, I think that things have gone full circle to a degree because you've started coming to do some workshops for us and you're doing workshops elsewhere. So that's harkened back to your career before the trade stuff.
Yes.
How are you finding all of that?
Do you know, I am absolutely loving it. I really am, because I think that it's very complimentary for me. It is full circle. That sort of facilitating workshops is a creative process in itself that I get really energized by. So I sort of feel that although people are really responsive and are really loving it, you know, like the workshops and what I'm basically saying, you're a bit of a fly on the wall. I'm giving you the processes and getting you to work with the processes that I've been working with in my design business for the last so many years. And but I feel as if I'm getting more from doing the workshops than they are. Because I just love, I'm loving the sharing of the processes. And because I'm an absolute serious extrovert, I need to get out there and be talking and just be in that zone. And I also recognise that it's, you know, doing all those workshops in school before I set up the design business, that was me really learning, continuing with my craft as an artist. You know, I don't see that as, you know, they're really complementary. And it's not that, it's like my husband recognised that, right, enough's enough. You need to stop facilitating the creativity. You need to you actually need to do your work. So it's different seasons. So for me, this season is like, okay, I'm really wanting to sort of express what I've been learning and then just, you know, just see what the response is. So I think this is what I love about you guys, because, you know, I can tell you love what you're doing. You're highly creative as well, and you founded this incredible business. And, you know, and I feel a real privilege to sort of come in and work within the framework of what you've set up and what you've founded. So, because, you know, and I think half of the attraction with working for you guys as well is just, I can see that you really love what you're doing, and you have a good giggle about it as well.
I think we've also
You've got to, haven't you?
Yeah. But we've been exactly in that position that you talk about there, where in COVID, we obviously everything stopped for us. All of the face-to-face meetings stopped, and we were in the background. We did loads of work, like funded projects and things like that, but we weren't out for delivery, and we kind of said, oh, we're just going to stay in the background a bit, and we're not going to go to the groups. We'll do all the management, the planning, everything, all of everything that goes with it, but we won't do as many groups. We won't host the groups. And that lasted for about a year, until we were going out of our mind a bit, really.
Yeah, because I think the delivery is the fun part, isn't it? I think that they're looking at the spreadsheets, ordering the materials, dealing with suppliers. It kind of you think, I'm running a business here rather than the creative side of things.
Yeah.
And we've both been we've both had craft businesses before and stuff.
Right,
so it's kind of like, you like to see people, and you like to see how they interact with the tutors, how they interact with the materials. And I think that gives us motivation to go back and know what people want in terms of delivery, but it fills our cup, so we can totally see how it works with you as well.
Yeah.
But we're delighted that you're working with us.
No,
No, I'm loving it.
I think it's fantastic. It's fantastic that you're doing it here in the Northeast.
Yeah.
It's brilliant, isn't it? And that you've got both elements of that business, that you've got your product side, but now you're out doing your workshops and things, and you're getting that back from it, but everything else is still continuing on, isn't it?
Yeah, it's keeping the balance of, like, you know, the different roles, and you know, still making sure that design business, and that's what my husband keeps saying, says that, you know, you go off on one, you know, you're planning these workshops, but, you know, be careful, Gillian, because you need to keep your own creative practice going. You know, it's like sort of, I can be a little bit all or nothing. So he really helps me to just keep it in check, you know, which is really important.
Definitely.
As well.
And if you were giving anybody, just as a final question, if you were giving anybody that was listening to this, that was thinking, I'm really passionate, I've got a creative practice that I do, that I've developed, that I want to turn into a business, what would your advice be to them?
Well, I mean, without wanting to sound really cheesy, just really follow your heart.
Yeah.
You know, like if it's what makes you tick, and you're just thinking, this is my sense of well-being, working in this way. You know, it has to be. It's better to try it than not, isn't it? Because they're just, because all that frustration would be building up, and you know, I just think it's. You know, life is way too short. We have to really, really pursue what our passions are, and you know, better that. And even if and I even say this to myself, if I sort of do designs and people stop buying them or whatever, you know, if that would happen one day, you know, it's like I'm so grateful that I've actually done it.
Yeah.
You know, and that is what is so important, you know, because what I've gained is just like pure gold compared to like doing, say, a job that didn't have that level of fulfillment to it. So I think that with somebody who's like midlife, you've got all those experiences, those life experiences that you can draw on, that will help you and reinforce you to keep making those decisions to set up that creative practice. And, you know, maybe I need to set up a little group or something, because I really feel very, very passionately about this.
I think that's such a lovely way to put it, really, to think when you do reach that midlife point, what a wealth of knowledge you've got to then reinvigorate you, to give you the power to move on to the next step, I think.
It's like a crescendo of experiences that come together that actually bring you, you know, just saying, oh, they didn't really buy anything, but I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
I've got to do it, you know, and because you are going to get lots of rejection, and you have to just sort of take it in the chin and carry on.
Like your print and tutor.
Yes.
You'll have to dedicate a piece. Give him his name, your next lampshade. This is Mr. Peterson or whatever it's called.
I know.
Waste of ink by Mr. Peterson.
So hilarious.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I feel like we could talk about this all day long. Unfortunately, we can't, but it's been a real pleasure and well done, because I think what you've created is amazing.
Oh, thanks very much.
And also, we'll give it a little plug. If you want to do some classes with Gillian, join Pimms Needles or have a look on our page and we'll give you some details.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you.